Jacob, are you able to screen the agenda for me? Thank you. So we will begin with a roll call to begin our meeting. So I will call upon, and if you are here, please let us know. Argentina.
Hello, my laminators here.
Thank you very much. Australia. Thank you very much. Australia. Azerbaijan. Bangladesh. Barbados.
Good morning to everyone. I am present, Gail Trotman.
Thank you. Belize. Canada.
Yeah, Tyler Schaffer from the Public Health Agency of Canada here.
Thank you. Cape Verde. Denmark. El Salvador. Finland. Germany. Ghana. India. Indonesia. Jordan. Kenya. Mali. Malaysia. Netherlands. Nigeria.
Anthony Ahubibe from the Nigeria CDC is present. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Anthony. Anyone from Peru? From Portugal?
Anúncio from National Institute of Health.
And
Hi, everyone.
Isabel Carvalho from the National Institute of Health as well. Hello.
Thank you very much. Republic of Korea? Saudi Arabia? Singapore? Spain? South Africa? Tanzania? Thailand?
Hello, everyone. Adiwat from National Institute of Health, Thailand.
Thank you very much, Thailand. Uganda?
Present. Lennox from Uganda.
United Kingdom? Thank you very much, Uganda. United Kingdom? Ukraine?
Hi, this is Anna Prihodko from the Public Health Center of the Ministry of Health of Ukraine.
Thank you, Ukraine. USA?
Hi, this is Dawn from the US.
Dana Perkins, U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Thank you, USA.
So this is Pavan Agra from US CDC.
Thank you very much. We'll go to international organizations. Anyone from APSA? From ASLM? From ASEAN? From Africa CDC, so I will be representing Africa CDC, Chokmo Maruta. From BTWC, the Implementation Support Unit.
Hello everyone, Remy Bakuya here for the BWC team.
Thank you very much, BTWC. Kafa.
Good day, everyone. It's Sasha Wallace Sankar Singh. Good to see many of you online. Over.
Thank you, Sasha. Anyone from Chatham House? CRDF.
Hello, this is Julie Fisher on for CRDF Global.
Thank you, CRDF. From FAO? Anyone from IAEA? Anyone from IEG-BBR?
Good morning, good afternoon. It's Leanne DeWinter, and I hope I'm here because I'm presenting. Thank you.
Thank you, Leanne. Anyone from IFBA? IGEM? OIE? Anyone from American Company?
Hello, Sam Dietrich with Merrick.
Thank you. NTI?
Hello, everyone. This is Jacob Eccles, NTI.
Thank you, Jacob. Anyone from UNICRI? From Vertige? And lastly, from WHO? Thank you very much. Anyone that is present but is not listed and I did not call out, I'll give you the opportunity to indicate your presence and introduce yourself.
O'Neill Hamilton from UNODC.
Thank you very much from UNODC. Okay, it appears we have taken care of everyone, and thank you very much once again for finding time for us to meet on our monthly call. And thank you for those who have consistently been attending this meeting. So our agenda today is as shown on your screen. We will straight away move on to a presentation from IEG-BBR, and I would like to thank them for responding to our call for them to participate in this meeting. And they will give us a presentation on capacity building mobile application on biosafety and biosecurity, and also on dual use oversight. Then we'll also, after that, have a few minutes for question and answers and any clarifications. And then we'll then go on to the ongoing activities from all of us under the action package number 3. So as part of that, we will look at our final annual work plan. Hopefully this week will be the final week where we are looking at this, and thereafter start to going on into our implementation. We also would like to take this time to also begin brainstorming. As we are aware, there are GHSA webinar series that are ongoing, and our presentation is coming in September. So we would also like to take the opportunity to start brainstorming on what area we would like to present during our slot that we have been given in September. And then we'll look at other business in terms of updates, upcoming meetings, and so forth. We'll also at that time have some interventions and submissions from the US State Department on their biosecurity engagement program, nuclear threat initiatives, upcoming meetings that are there, that they are helping us to coordinate and put together, and any from any one of us. I'll give a few seconds for any input to the agenda. Otherwise, I will request us to adopt and begin our session. Okay, it appears we are all happy. So can I call upon Leanne De Winter to take us through the first presentation? Over to you, Leanne.
Hello, everyone, and I see Jacob has already shared my presentation. Thank you for that, Jacob. That will allow me to, well, I guess most people don't have their cameras on. Usually I prefer to look at people while I'm presenting, but that's okay. Thank you so much, Dr. Maruda and Dr. Peter, for the opportunity to talk to the APP3 stakeholders today about our new mobile application. We hope that it's going to be a useful capacity building reference tool for the stakeholders. The International Experts Group of Biosafety and Biosecurity Regulators last presented to APP3, excuse me, I believe it was in late 2020. On the next slide, there's a brief outline of my presentation. I'll begin with just a little bit of information about the IGBBR. Then I'll describe the purpose and context for the mobile application, and then I will get into more detail about how to use the mobile application. On the next slide, by way of a brief introduction, the IGBBR formed in 2007 under strategic leadership from the Public Health Agency of Canada, and we are a group of 11 countries that have strong oversight systems in place for biosafety and biosecurity. And we also have the World Health Organization and the World Organization for Animal Health as non-member observers. On the next slide, we are governed by a steering committee whose current members are Canada, the Netherlands, and the US. And the Secretariat role was created in 2016, and the purpose of the role is to champion all the IGBBR projects, and the Secretariat role is housed at the Centre for Biosecurity of the Public Health Agency of Canada. And furthermore, the Secretariat role, as well as all the projects of the IGBBR, operate under funding from the Weapons Threat Reduction Program of Global Affairs Canada. On the next slide. The COVID-19 pandemic is anticipated to bring focus to public health capacity and trigger a renewed effort at capacity building, both at the national and international levels. Given that biosafety and biosecurity form an essential pillar of public health capacity, an intensification of capacity building work is foreseen in the coming years. Biosafety, biosecurity, and effective regulatory management of global disease threats are critical for public health control by national and international organizations. This highlights the importance of international networking and cooperation in the continued development of knowledge and expertise, and in promoting more global or mutually complementary responses. So by sharing lessons learned, knowledge, and expertise, which the IGBBR does, this also allows us to set a foundation that allows us to develop our capacity building reference tools and information. And we hope that these resources are universal in nature and that they can benefit the international community regardless of the level of development or resources in that particular nation. Excuse me. Next slide. Over the past year, a couple of our key projects are shown here on this slide. So like most people, we were unable to have our face-to-face meeting, but we did proceed with having our 8th biennial meeting virtually. And so on our website, you will see a report of that 8th biennial virtual meeting where we discussed challenges encountered with regulatory oversight experienced during the COVID-19 pandemic. And furthermore, we completed our second key deliverable for the group, which is the review of oversight of dual use in life sciences in IGBBR countries. And we are sharing that in the form of a mobile application. Next slide. I'm sure you're all aware of the widely circulated theories about the possibility that the SARS-CoV-2 virus originated from a laboratory. These theories spark renewed fears of bioweapons in the case of purposeful development, and biosafety, biosecurity, and dual use concerns in the case of unintended development and release. This most recent example points to the need to build capacity in the area of oversight of dual use issues, as well as to strengthen oversight around responsible conduct in the life sciences. And this is really where our mobile app hopes to serve the community as a capacity building reference tool. The app can help answer questions regarding oversight and responsible conduct in the life sciences and build international understanding. Next slide. So that was a bit of context specific to dual use, and now I will describe in a bit more detail the purpose and context for the mobile application. Next slide. So the IGBBR mobile application of biosafety and biosecurity and dual use oversight intends to serve as an information source to develop or strengthen national oversight systems for our global beneficiaries. So it contains two modules: the Compendium of International Biosafety and Biosecurity Oversight Systems for Human and Animal Pathogens and Toxins. That was the original or first key deliverable delivered by the IGBBR, and that was completed back in December 2019. And the new module, or the second module, our newly completed project, is on the review of oversight of dual use in the life sciences. So together, these two modules provide detailed descriptions of the national oversight systems in place among the 11 IGBBR member countries. And the mobile app is available in both English and French. Next slide. In the next series of slides, I'll tell you a little bit about bigger picture of how we see the mobile app serving as a reference tool. So as I mentioned, we feel that countries that aim to develop or strengthen compliance with their international biosafety and biosecurity commitments, or their national biosafety, biosecurity, and dual use oversight capacities will find information that can be used in their specific national circumstances in the mobile application. It can serve as an environmental scan. It can inform on updates on different aspects of your oversight systems. And this is because there's certainly not any two oversight systems from even among the IGBBR member countries that are the same. So there's really quite a breadth of information in the mobile app. The app is available in both the Google Play and Apple App Stores using your Android or Apple mobile device. Next slide, thank you. The mobile app can contribute to international biosafety and biosecurity efforts. So for example, under the Biological and Toxins Weapons Convention, the mobile app shows how the IGBBR members' oversight systems achieve compliance with Articles 1, 3, and 4. Furthermore, if you're developing national oversight and you're using Canada's analytical approach, the mobile app can serve as an information resource to be used hand in hand with the analytical approach. Next slide. Then specific to dual use, the mobile app provides 11 national examples of how the IGBBR members have put in place appropriate controls that show how they comply with the obligations to prevent the proliferation of biological weapons under the UN SCR 1540, policies and recommendations on transfers under the Wassenaar Arrangement, as well as harmonized export controls under Australia Group. Next slide. The mobile app can also contribute to strengthening of national or regional compliance with commitments under the international health regulations. Under the IHR, states parties have a mandatory annual reporting requirement in regards to 13 public health capacities, and the mobile app can serve as an information resource for countries that are looking to improve on public health capacity C1 on legislation and financing, or C5 on laboratory biosafety and biosecurity regime. Also under the IHR, the joint external evaluation assessments are a rigorous evaluation of a country's core public health capacities. And in this case, Prevent P1 and Prevent P6 are the areas of interest for the mobile application. So by detailing all of our members' national oversight systems, The mobile app can be used as an information resource for countries that want to strengthen or develop their compliance with international health regulations with respect to the public health capacities related to biosafety, biosecurity, or dual use oversight. Next slide. Now that I've described a little bit of how we see the mobile app being used, I'll next get into some specifics about how to use the mobile app and the information that you will be able to find in the mobile app. On the next slide, I describe the main features and functions of the mobile app. So users can navigate and search for any information of interest about or any aspect of the 11 IGBBR members' oversight systems. You can use the filter feature to select any or all of the IGBBR members' content. And when the filter is active, you'll see the icon light up at the top of the app, and as well the flags of the member countries that you have selected will display at the top as shown in the screenshot. There is a print PDF button that you can use to export desired content of interest in PDF format using your mobile apps, your mobile device's email functionality. There's also a note-taking feature, and we also have a voice input feature that uses the keyboard. It works through the keyboard function of your mobile app, and you can use voice input to input a search term or a note. And as well, as I mentioned, the app is bilingual, so you can toggle between English and French. Once you have located the information of interest to you, you'll see that there's hundreds of hyperlinks, and you can use all of those hyperlinks to access any additional information on that area of interest that you're looking at. A bit later in the presentation, I'll give you some specific examples of how to use the app. But on the next slide, I will go into the contents of the app. Next slide. Thank you. So as I mentioned, the mobile app has two modules. There's the Biosafety and Biosecurity module, which is shown on this slide. And next, I will talk about the dual use module. So in the Biosafety and Biosecurity module, it begins with an executive summary and country by country summaries. And then the next 5 parts are sort of the main content of interest in this module. And the information contained in these next 5 parts include the legislative frameworks, standards and policies, detailed program processes and requirements, notifications, reporting, risk assessment, compliance and enforcement, personnel requirements, as well as training and outreach. And this module concludes with a section that describes the international agreements, convention, and capacity building work that's done by the IGBBR members. I'll also note here that we did face a challenge in this project with respect to differences in terminology. So as I'm sure you can imagine, there are a lot of differences in terminology used in the different oversight systems. And this could, if you're searching for a specific term, you could receive fewer search results back than you expected. And this is because of this difference in terminology that's used. So for example, if you search for biological agent, there could be over a dozen different terms used among the regulatory oversight systems. And so for this reason, we also provided a list of suggested cross-reference terms that's accessible from the sidebar menu. And you can use this list to help navigate between the differences in terminology and to more effectively retrieve content of interest. And I'll give you an example of this a little bit later in the presentation as well. On the next slide, there's an overview of the contents of the dual use module. So similar to the Biosafety and Biosecurity module, this module contains detailed descriptions of the oversight systems for dual use in the IGBBR member countries. But in this case, the oversight consists of both regulatory and non-regulatory oversight. Again, it begins with an executive summary and national summaries. Then there's a brief description of governance approaches for dual use, as well as some definitions related to dual use. Next, we have the 2 main content sections in the dual use module, the first being on export controls and international agreements. and the second on biosafety and biosecurity oversight measures. And I will describe those more in the next couple of slides as well. Then there's another summary of how the various dual use components, whether it be the agents and toxins themselves, technology, knowledge, or information, how these are covered by the oversight systems, and concluding with brief descriptions of challenges associated with dual governance, together with some hyperlinked resources for further reading. Next slide. In the export controls and international agreements, I'm sure you'll all agree the area of export controls is a huge field all to itself. So what we've done here is to really focus in on the aspects that are related specifically to dual use. And what you'll see is that most of the oversight here is regulatory in nature, and they're very, very highly aligned in the area of export controls and international agreements. Next slide. In terms of biosafety and biosecurity oversight measures, as I mentioned, it comprises both regulatory and non-regulatory oversight, and non-regulatory oversight or other oversight approaches include institutional oversight, as well as oversight at the level of funding, allocation, or publication. And you'll see there's as well a number of other areas related to dual use in the biosafety and biosecurity oversight. Next slide. Now that you know the kinds of information that you can find in the mobile app, I will next describe how to use the tool. So in this first example, it's really the most simple example. And I'll remind you again that the variety in the oversight systems of the IEGBBR members means that you will most likely need to use different functions and features of the mobile app to find the information for which you are searching. So this first example is pretty straightforward. A user would like to know they're developing or strengthening their biosafety and biosecurity oversight, and they would like to know which pathogens and toxins should I cover. So in this case, I would recommend navigating to the Biosafety and Biosecurity module, and then selecting part 1.4 on regulated pathogens and toxins. You will see that some of the oversight systems are list-based, some cover pathogens and toxins assessed at a given risk group or higher, and some are activity-based, regulating based on the degree of risk of the proposed activity with a specific agent. Some of the systems regulate human and animal pathogens separately, and some address biosafety and biosecurity separately. So really from there, you can follow any number of different explorations, which will lead you to other sections of the app. So for example, after understanding the basis of the oversight system, you might next consult part 1.2 that defines the risk group and biocontainment designations. So that was a pretty straightforward example. On the next slide, I'll describe a more complicated example. So in this case, the user would like to get information about oversight requirements for the storage of pathogens. So in this case, the information will not all be in one section of the app. And you'll find this to be the case for many aspects of the oversight systems, once again, given how different the 11 oversight systems are. So in this case, you'll need to perform a search to find the information of interest. So we would start in this case by using a wildcard search for STOR. And we would do that so that we can get results for both the verb store as well as the noun storage. And when you do that, you will return a large number of results. And this is because it's a major concept of the oversight systems. So once you've done that, you'll then need to use the filters to remove either sections or countries that might be less relevant to you. So for example, almost every country will return a result in part 1.3 because part 1.3 is sort of a summary of sorts. And so I would remove part 1.3 from your search results, just to give you a little bit more specific results. Once you've done some initial filtering, you'll see that the main content of interest will still be distributed among different sections. And this is because storage requirements are captured differently in the different oversight systems. So under standards or similar policy instruments in part 1.5, in part 2.1, when they're a part of the regulatory authorization process, or in part 2.3, when they're part of the notifications of the regulatory oversight. You would also notice in this example that Switzerland and the Netherlands will not be among the hits returned, since storage isn't considered separately in those countries, but rather it's considered at the stage of categorization of the biocontainment required for a given class of activity, or as a part of the risk assessment and notification process. I previously mentioned that the different oversight systems employ different terminology, and this is mainly a challenge in the biosafety and biosecurity module. So if a country isn't being returned in your search results at all, consider that it could be due to a difference in terminology. And once again, this is why we've provided the list of cross-reference terms. So for example, in this case, you'll see that Singapore and France don't return too many results. And this is because they use different terms. Singapore and France use derivations of possession, retention, and stockpile. So when you search for store, you won't get hits there. If you're interested in seeing the requirements around storage of pathogens for Singapore and France, you would have to look at the list of cross-reference terms and then search the terms that they use to get their regulatory information. Next slide. The third example is for dual use. And as you know, measures for the oversight of dual use are highly interwoven into a number of relevant objectives: biosafety, biosecurity, ethics, as well as international commitments that also touch on foreign policy, national defense, and national security interests. The descriptions of the dual-use oversight systems of the IGBBR members demonstrate how dual-use oversight measures can be woven into existing regulatory and non-regulatory frameworks. Therefore, on the dual-use side, I would recommend starting with the executive summary and the national summaries. I'll also note that even within the IGBBR members, oversight of dual use is still considered to be an area in progress. And so the key, or the take-home message here, is that the oversight, the key to the oversight of dual use is to understand that there are many possible intervention points to identify, assess, manage, and mitigate dual use risks. And the important thing is to determine which of those will work best in your national situation. Next slide. Thank you. On behalf of the IGBBR, I hope that you will consult the IGBBR mobile app as you consider how to develop or strengthen your national oversight systems. We built this reference tool with a goal of contributing to the improvement of global health security. We're also relying on your feedback on the mobile app. As I'm sure you can imagine, the oversight systems are dynamic and are constantly being updated and improved. The Biosafety and Biosecurity module was originally launched in December 2019, and so it's already due for an update. Therefore, we would be very grateful for your suggestions and comments, and we would use those to inform the update on that module that we would be undertaking a few years down the road. So in closing, I thank you for your time, and I welcome any questions or comments that you have. Thank you.
talk more? Are you trying to speak? Oh, Sasha, I see that you have your hand raised, so we can go over to you for any questions for Leanne.
Hi, good morning, and thanks very much, Leanne, for your presentation. I hope that we would really utilize the app. You and I have had some sidebar discussion previously, and things are moving along in our region that hopefully we'd be able to better engage you as a secretariat for some assistance. I'm particularly interested in how we can assist our regional network of national focal points. Gail Trotman is actually one of the focal points, and I do know when the app first launched, a number of our members did go online, downloaded and reviewed, and everyone was really impressed with the amount of information, but also a little bit scary with the amount of information. So when we're looking at all of these different sources, so a lot to take in, but we would really welcome some further discussion at a later time to see how we can assist our network in the region here. So great work, keep it up, and looking forward to some more interaction with you in the coming months. Over.
Great, Sasha, thank you. I agree, it's the amount of information is quite overwhelming, and so that's part of why I really wanted to build into my presentation some specific examples of how to use the app, because one of the comments I've been getting back is, I can't find whatever. And I'm like, what do you mean you can't find it? There's so much in there. And I think really just needing to understand, and I know, Sasha, you and I have had this conversation before, but in trying to compile all this information about 11 oversight systems for biosafety, biosecurity, and dual use, how to organize that really becomes a challenge. And so then when you're looking to access that information, it also might not be completely intuitive how to get that information out of the app. So hopefully explaining this a little bit more will help everybody find the information that they're looking for. And I'm always available to help if there's something that you're looking for that isn't there. So thank you for that comment, Sasha, and I look forward to working with you more as well.
Thank you very much, Leanne, for that. I think the 2-3 examples that you gave certainly gave us a feel of how to navigate the app, so that's helpful. Any other questions, colleagues? You can show by raise of your hand or unmute and pose your questions. Over. Any questions or areas for clarification that you want?
I have a question for you, Leanne. I know that the app mainly focuses around the 11 countries that make up the oversight committee that IEGBBR composes of, but do you see in the future maybe expanding this to include other countries' oversight mechanisms?
Oh, that's a good question. The project, even just with the 11 IGBBR member countries, was already really challenging. We get questions about membership to the IGBBR a lot as well. I'm not sure, to be honest with you. So each of these 2 modules took between 3 and 5 years to complete, just with the 11 member countries. And there's really a lot that goes into it behind the scenes. So each country has to get national approvals for the information to be available in the public. And it's really already a super complicated project to complete and make public. So I shudder to think of how complicated it would be to even add like 4 more countries. But also, as I mentioned, because we do have 11 different systems, there's already a really good wealth of information and a lot of different systems that are captured. It's a hard question to answer, but we do hope that that all the global beneficiaries can get information of value from the mobile app. Thanks, Gabby.
Thank you very much for Gaby for that question and for the response. We also have some comments in the chat box. We have from Augusta, says great presentation. They also enjoyed using the app. They are looking forward to exploring more with the filter function, which is new to them. From Lennox, they are saying they probably could have missed this, but they are asking, will it remain a mobile app or are there consideration to develop a desktop version? Over to you, Len.
It will remain a mobile app. If that poses a problem in any specific circumstances, feel free to reach out and we can try to find some workarounds for you. The IT developers that I worked with in developing the mobile app, we can certainly find a solution. If getting it on a mobile application or a mobile device is a challenge in your situation, we can certainly find some workarounds for that. So there are no plans to develop a desktop version of it. We really wanted it to be a standalone mobile app that people could keep on their device and then access at any time. It's not really something that's going to get, you know, buggy or need to be updated frequently or anything like that. And the size is pretty small as well.
Thank you for that. I have a hand from Tony, and then after Tony, I'll give to Jacob. Over to you, Tony.
Thank you, Leanne, for the presentation. I'm just curious, looking at the objectives and the explanations, examples you've given. The app is mainly for offering information and education to people who use it. So my question is there any part of this app that can be enabled for purpose of data collection? Thank you.
We didn't envision using the app for data collection. We really envisioned it as being a capacity building reference tool. So basically outward sharing of information. I'm a bit curious the kind of information that you are referring to in terms of collecting. Could you explain that a little bit further? I'm very curious.
Yeah, again, for most of our, I'm calling from Nigeria anyway. So for most of our countries, we are still being introduced to information gathering around our dual use research capacities. So I just asked to know whether there are opportunities to use the app for survey data collection around these particular areas, for asking questions around it to facilities, or doing things like surveys about country capacities around these areas, and learning also how that was done in other countries. So that's exactly what I'm looking at. Whether those informations can just be put in this app and then subsequently analyzed to give an idea of where we are around this area. Thank you.
Thank you, Tony. That was helpful. So I would say what the app would do would be to provide you with the information needed to help you determine what to ask your facilities. So for example, if you want to get examples of how to ask facilities, what kind of research are you doing and might it have dual use concerns? You could then go into the dual use module and look at how the IGBBR members interact with their facilities and what kinds of things they ask. And then from there, you could use that information to set your own national program details.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
And thank you, Leanne. I'll jump in now since Talkmore had mentioned I'd be next. Just a very brief question with regard to updating of information and adding policies as they come online. Can you speak to that process a little bit and how the 11 countries and through IEGBBR are working to ensure that the information that's included within the app is timely and up to date with the regulations and things that the different countries are putting in place?
That's a great question, Jacob. And that could be a full-time job all in its own, just keeping the information current. Because as you know, all 11 oversight systems of the IGBBR members, they're being updated and improved constantly. So really, it's a snapshot in time of when it was launched. But what you'll see is that in each section where it describes the various aspects of the oversight, the app also has hundreds of hyperlinks. And so when you, let's say you're interested, for example, in how Denmark oversees dual use from a biosecurity perspective, when you access the hyperlinks, it will take you right to the website of the regulatory authority in that country. And then if there are updates, it would be obvious when you access the hyperlinks. I think the way that we are planning to keep the information current is to sort of overhaul the content every few years. So the biosafety and biosecurity module was it was sort of halfway done when I joined the IGBBR. So I really didn't get a lot of opportunity to like put my own mark on it. It was more like finishing that aspect. But I have a lot of ideas of how to change that module, and I would make a lot of changes and include some aspects of the oversight that aren't currently in the app. But as I mentioned, it's a huge undertaking, about 3 to 5 years per module. So it's going to be updated periodically, depending on funding and other projects that we're undertaking.
Thank you very much, Lian. We really appreciate taking time to prepare this presentation and share with us. And colleagues, for those who like to interact with this more, it's available on your Apple Store or a Google Store. And there are also links that have been put in the chat box. So thank you very much for that. Gaby, please show, can you just screen the next agenda item? So we'll quickly move over to our agenda item number 3. And here we would like, first of all, to just share with you updates in terms of finalization of our annual plan. If we recall from our last discussion, we had made a call for people to volunteer in some of the areas. And I think, Gaby, if you're able to show maybe the parts of the work plan, just want to make reference to, I think, objective 3, where we still had some volunteers to do that. So as the team, Secretariat, we have also made some suggestions in terms of member states, members, or institutions that can help us in some of those areas. And we will be contacting them bilaterally to just engage them in terms of the expectations in those areas. So I think we're left with the area on regulatory action on regulatory frameworks. And I think there's been a proposal to engage Vetich to take a lead in that. There were also 2 other areas that I think were outstanding. Jacob would like to assist me in who we sort of selected and who will be engaging bilaterally in those areas. Over to you.
Thanks, Talkmore. I'll actually defer to Gabby on this one.
Hi, so yes, we're still reaching out to those 2 individuals about who could help us fill the last part of strategic objective 3. But as soon as we reach out to them and confirm, I can send out the finalized work plan agenda but the work plan to the entire team. And then I know the next steps are we're going to be reaching out to everyone who signed up for different positions within the work plan and work with them to determine what the next steps are, what we expect from everyone, so we can make sure that our work plan is complete by the end of this GSHA year.
Thank you very much, Gaby, for that. So, colleagues, we are almost getting to the final stages of our work plan. I know it has taken long. We need to quickly move into implementation. So in our next meeting, we will start to report back on some of the items that are listed on the work plan. The process of engaging those that are taking lead would have been completed, as Gabe has indicated, and we will also provide additional details on how those that are taking lead will be moderating the areas that they assign. But the work that is there is for all of us. We encourage you to continue to participate if you are at any time engaged or requested to do so, especially in the area of updates in the areas that are listed on the work plan. So we are happy that although it has taken long, but I think it was necessary for us to consult as extensively as is possible. Also, I think in terms of the plan, as you know, there's been a call for each of the action packages to make a presentation on the GHSA webinar series, and we have been slotted to make a presentation in September. We wanted to take a few minutes to sort of brainstorm in terms of what would be your suggestions in what we could present or share with the broader group coming from our action package. So I'll open up the floor for you to make your submissions in terms of what you think we could present in that slot given to us in September of this year. And then we'll take note of this and come back to you in terms of additional details on the areas suggested. So you could just raise your hand or just unmute and make your suggestion. Over to you, colleagues.
I would like to pose a question about the GLOW event, the GHSA Lessons Observed webinar event. I don't know exactly. I mean, I would suggest that what I've seen of the previous action package presentations that have proved to be very effective is either featuring a specific achievement that has been showcased by one of the action package members. So a tool that has been presented, a study that has been particularly effective, or some of the action packages are giving a more overall introduction to the pressing issues that are facing the action package members. Both of those can be effective, and I think the question for this group is whether the goal and the audience for this event are to reach out broadly to global biosafety and biosecurity stakeholders to increase their awareness of the work of this action package, or whether the goal is to reach out to an audience of already existing GHSA members to increase their awareness of a specific tool or approach that might be applicable across action packages. They are different approaches, so thinking about who we want to target in terms of audience may help refine this approach to developing the specific topic. Over.
Thank you very much. Two great suggestions to sort of introduce our action package is sort of awareness, or secondly, to showcase something that has been implemented effectively by one of our action package members. It could be a tool, it could be a study, or maybe something like we have just seen here, a mobile app for consideration. So again, let's ponder over this and hear other additional comments or suggestions. Thank you for that submission. So we're just looking for suggestions. So far we have two. Any other thoughts from other group members?
Hi, Takor. I think with just considering the time of the meeting, I think that we can just accept further suggestions via email, and I will make sure to add the request in the notes so people know exactly what to think about, and then they can think of suggestions, and potentially we can review them during the next meeting.
Thank you very much, Gabby, for assisting in managing time. So far we have 2 suggestions. So if any further, please circulate this within the team email list. And in our next meeting, we will submit what we have collected and probably further refine that. So thank you for that, and we'll still keep that open. So our last, very quickly, our last agenda item, in other business, for any programmatic updates, we'll hear first from the US State Department, and then NTI, and then other colleagues for any updates, any upcoming events, any programmatic updates that you have. Let me first of all hand over to the US State Department, then we have NTI. Over.
Thanks, Dr. Talkmore. This is Julia Scordo from the State Department. I think due to the time, we're going to go ahead and postpone this until next month's meeting.
Thank you very much. NTI, quickly, do you have some upcoming meetings you would like the group to be aware of?
No upcoming meetings to flag for everyone. Thanks, Talkmore. Just wanted to provide a quick readout from our Global Biosecurity Dialogue meeting, the workstream meeting that we held last month. However, given the time, this is already included within the community corner update, so I'll just have direct everyone there to review the update.
Thank you very much. So yes, the document shared on the community corner, please, colleagues. It contains most of the updates in the previous month, as well as some upcoming meetings. So we encourage you to have a quick look at that. And this can also be shared further in group. I'm looking at our time. Anyone with any burning updates they would like to share in about 30 seconds?
Yeah, talking about this is Pawan here from CDC. So I will send you our update. There are like a whole list of it. So I don't want to, it's not enough time to share with the group right now, but I'll share with you so you can circulate with everyone. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Please do, and I will assist in circulating that. So colleagues, let me take this time to thank you for your attendance and for your continued support in finding time to participate in these monthly meetings. The meeting minutes will be shared, further updates will be circulated, and we thank everyone and look forward to our next meeting. Thank you very much, and wish the rest of you a good day and good morning, afternoon, and evening, depending when you are. Thank you very much. Meeting is adjourned.